Hey, how's it going? Nick here. In this video we're going to look a little bit at this low center of gravity RC10 chassis that I designed for indoor carpet racing. And it's something that I got a couple questions about because I shared the chassis plate in a previous video, my Send Cut Send video, because it is a laser cut aluminum chassis. Now there are two main reasons for why I designed and built this chassis. The first being that my previous car that I was using was an original early 90s RC10 Worlds car. And when you bring one of these to the track, you just get, first of all, everybody at the track is like, whoa, you're gonna race that? And then they wince because they think about broken parts, they think about scraping the bottom of this tub. Because these cars have actually gone up in value quite a bit. Here's the thing, I like running the vintage cars because, first of all, I'm not the best racer. So it gives me a built-in excuse for not doing well. But the thing is, when you do well, everybody goes nuts. There was one race where I led a race for maybe 3 laps. But during those 3 laps, it's like all eyes on me. Because this vintage RC10 Worlds car, rear motor, on a high bite carpet track, is currently leading a pack of modern, B6s or whatever the equivalent Team Losi buggy is, and that's pretty cool in my book. But anyways, the second reason was because this aluminum tub looks pretty bulky, right? But it's actually extremely light. And it was so light, in fact, that in order to meet the minimum weight requirements for my class, I always had to add a ton of steel adhesive backed weight. And that just seemed like a waste to me. I feel like I could do better by designing my own aluminum chassis plate, which is significantly thicker than the original RC10 chassis. And that weight is all at the very bottom of the chassis. It's not like I'm sticking weights. I actually had to stack weights at some point because I was running out of surface area inside the tub. So having that weight built into the chassis itself obviously brings the center of gravity down lower. I didn't really stop there though, because I also added the transmission from a B6. This is the lay-down B6 transmission, and it's obviously mid-motor. I also added the B6 rear shock tower. It's just the standard B6 shock tower. And I'm using re-release RC10 Worlds car shock absorbers on the front and the rear. For battery, I'm using just a low-profile shorty pack, and I have this cool carbon fiber mount for the shorty pack, and I just picked that up on eBay. I forget who makes it. I'll put a link in the description if I can find it. The steering bell cranks are straight from a re-release Worlds car. The front end is significantly different from the Worlds car, and a lot of times what people will do on the RC10 Talk forum is they'll make a what's old is new build, which is basically the RC10T front end, which is the narrow front end. Here, I'll get a Worlds car kick plate just so that you can see how much narrower the truck front end is from the Worlds car. It's about a ½ inch narrower. And that's the truck front bulkhead. And it uses these milled out nylon Dynotech Klein arms is what they're called. And they're longer arms than the Worlds car arms. And I have this shock tower that fits on the truck bulkhead, and it has lower mounting holes for the buggy shock absorbers. The front suspension uprights and spindles, those are all stock Worlds car pieces. Actually, they're re-release pieces. And I do have extended front axles to bring the width out to the maximum that is allowed by my class. Now let's take a look at the bottom. You can see that the rear arms also aren't stock. Those are actually Traxxas Bandit RPM arms, and they're a little bit longer than stock. I don't really remember where the drive axles came from. I want to say they're maybe from a B4 or something similar, maybe a B44. I did design the chassis plate so that it has enough mounting holes for both the mid-motor B6 transmission or the rear motor Stealth transmission, so you could go either way with this chassis plate. The inner arm mounts, and I don't know if you can see it, is back in there, that white piece, that's actually designed by a guy on the RC10 Talk forum called Nikki. You can order those from Shapeways, and they are what allow you to adapt the Traxxas Bandit RPM arms to an RC10 chassis. And that's not just for this plate chassis, that's also for any RC10 chassis. I'm pretty happy with how the wing and the rear portion of the body turned out. This is just using the B6 wing mounts that mount to the shock tower right here. And I actually cut off the rear of the body. And this is a Team Blue Groove Bandit body. So you can see it cuts off right there. And I wanted to keep that tail section, so I actually just put 2 holes in it and I mounted it to the wing mount under the clear wing in the back. I think it's a pretty good compromise between like a modern body that has it cut off right at the shock tower and the older style look that has it continuing past right there. Even though there's no motor under there, it's kind of empty, but I think it looks pretty good. So for wheels and tires, I have these, I don't actually remember who makes these. Maybe Team Durango makes these front wheels. And I actually trimmed them to be a little bit narrower. And I fit these Schumacher Cut Stagger tires for carpet racing. And in the back I currently have AKA wheels from a B4. And they have some mini pins, Schumacher mini pins on them. I would like to try the Schumacher Cactus tire because I think it's a lower profile tire. Let's see, what am I forgetting? The turnbuckles are all titanium turnbuckles from Lunsford Racing. Most of the screws in the bottom are actually stainless steel rather than aluminum. I know a lot of the original RC10 screws are these yellowish aluminum countersunk screws, and those are pretty cool, but I needed more weight, so I replaced those with stainless steel. And I sell these stainless steel screw kits for the RC10 on my website. I'll put a link in the description. As well as the chassis itself, I also have that for sale on my website. So really that's about it. I originally set out to make something that was still sort of vintage and yet still modern, and I ended up with something that is neither of those things. But I think it's even more cool because I made it myself. So thank you so much for watching this little chassis focus video of this car that I designed and built. If you have any questions, please leave them in the comments, and I'll see you guys next time.